Okay, what's happening, family? Welcome back to another episode, baby. Oh, we the people. Where the people come for the truth. You know it, you better know it. And we're back on another one. And we're going to start out with my guy here. Well, so, first and foremost, let me say what's happening to everybody. I hope y'all's week was good. I want to say thank you for checking out that Marco Rubio video. Man, I got a lot of views on that. I really appreciate it. If we can keep them coming like that, that would be great, man. That helps you to get on the algorithm. Now we are up to 1229 on the subscribers, man. Thank you guys very much. The views are up. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm going to keep it pumping, but I'm going to keep it real. We ain't selling out to nobody. We're in the underground. This is the news. This is the truth. Investigate anything that I say. I am not perfect, but everything I bring you, I'm bringing you receipts, baby. Let's go. Here's Mark Levin, right? And I'm not a big, certain things I turn to Mark Levin on, but Mark Levin is a war monger. He's a neocon, right? I forgot. He said I'm an anti-Semite if I call him a neocon. Yeah, okay. This is these are Christians, right, that support Israel. They're neocons. But if you call them a neocon, you're anti-Semite, like you're talking about the Jews. I was getting ready to say the Jewish people, but the Jews, right? But that's not a fact. And just because you disagree with Israel, don't make you an anti-Semite. I don't hate the Jewish people, but I disagree a lot with what Israel does. Alright? I just really ain't said too much about Israel at all, but I will speak about the neocons that are in America, right? That will put Israel above the Americans. And I'm not good with that. I don't support the Daily Wire. I watch Matt Walsh and Matt Walsh only. The rest of them are a bunch of fakes and phonies. Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, he's a sellout. What's that one guy's name? I can't hear the old shriveled up guy with the bald head. Man, I can't even remember his name. Ain't none anyway. But I don't deal with fake. Pat Gray and them, Blaze TV, neocons, right? If you pay attention to their show, every time that what's his name comes on, man, why am I forgetting names so bad right now? Because I got a camera in front of me. The guy who owns Blaze, man, come on, dude, stop it. It's the guy who owns Blaze TV, man. Like, my head is not remembering right this second for some reason. I don't know why. Let's watch the video.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin, and this is Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Thank you for being here. I think you're going to love tonight's show. We have two great guests, Michael Duran. We're going to talk about Iran, and David Mamet, this terrific playwright, filmmaker. And he's going to talk to us about the disenlightenment that's taking place in America. So I know you're going to enjoy those guests. But before we get there, I want to have some fun. I want to talk about tariffs. Oh, Mark, come on. When I talk about tariffs, I'm talking about really the Constitution in your republic. That's what we're talking about. Here's our friends at the Washington Times. Rulings add more uncertainty to trade. That's for sure. Here's the New York Post. Terrifying. Yes, indeed. In the Washington Compost, a.k.a. the Washington Post, Trump trade gambit hobbled by setbacks. I read all these great articles.
All right, now I want you to understand, this video is not really about tariffs per se. All right? It's going to get to the point that I'm getting to. All right? Just stick with me for a minute here. Listen to the great neocon, the great one, Mark Levin.
And they're missing something very important. Your Constitution. Who gets to decide these issues? The courts get to decide everything? Is that the way it works? All right, stick with me. This is very, very important. Here we have from CNN, April 2nd. Congress. 4 Senate Republicans joined with Democrats to rebuke Trump tariff policy in key vote. Senate adopted a resolution by a vote of 51 to 48 aimed at blocking the Trump administration's proposed tariffs on Canadian imports. The 4 Republicans who voted with Democrats were Rand Paul, as well as Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, and Lisa Murkowski, all predictable. The impact of the Senate vote may remain largely symbolic. House GOP leaders are not expected to take up any efforts to rebuke Trump over tariff policy, and even moved earlier this year to prohibit such a move. Here's another one, April 30th, so about 4 weeks later. This is from Newsweek. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul spoke out about a bill he co-sponsored. So he co-sponsored a bill to prevent President Donald Trump from using emergency powers to implement his tariff agenda, saying on Fox Business that it's a bad way to run a country. Now, I'm probably the only one in America who's actually read the decision by the International Trade Court. Most people didn't know we had one, but we do. It's got 9 members. A panel of 3 made a decision.
Rand Paul don't want the president to have emergency powers 1702 to run the country when it's invaded, right? So Rand Paul wants to take his tariff powers from him, which I believe, knowing what we know now, would have been the worst possible thing we could have allowed to happen. Look at how these tariffs have circumvented everything. Look at how it's put it at a level playing field, everything, right? Now he pauses the tariffs, and the stock market goes through the roof, right? So tell me how the tariffs weren't good for the country. That's all I want anybody to explain to me, right? I just want somebody to stop for a minute. Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry, the coffee. I want somebody to stop for a minute, right? And good morning. It's June 1st, 8:03 in the morning. I want somebody to stop for 1 minute and just explain to me how the tariffs really hurt our country. Tell me that. Tell me how President Trump didn't know what the hell he was doing. Tell me that. Tell me how every one of you were right, but he was wrong. Tell me that. That's what I want you to do. I want you to tell me that. Well, but here's the problem. You can't tell me that. Do you know why you can't tell me that? Because the tariffs have been nothing short of amazing. Now, if Congress would pass this big, beautiful bill and just trust the president, everything would be all right. Ron Johnson and all them named, I'm sure Tom Tillis, Ron Johnson, all of them, right? All of them. Glenn Beck, that's his name, Blaze TV, Glenn Beck. if you ever watch Glenn Beck, look, I jumped straight off of what I was talking about right back onto that, right? If you ever watch Glenn Beck, every time he opens up his shows, he opens it up with a terrifying thing that's going to happen to the dollar bill. Oh my God, please buy gold. Back your money with gold. But when you call, please call at Glenn Beck or Blaze TV / give a fuck about your money. I don't have a beat, so we just caught myself. Anyway, they don't care about your money. They want you to call and order gold and use their promo code so they can make money. But they will fearmonger you so you buy that gold. Oh, Congress is doing this and the dollar is depleting and oh my God, shut up. They all do it over there on Blaze TV. Their biggest supporter is the gold people. So you got a fearmonger to get people to buy gold. Absolutely disgusting. Just tell people the truth. But you ain't got a fearmonger. And they fearmonger. So certain stuff I don't like. Pat Gray, there's certain stuff about Pat Gray that I don't like, right? He said something about the tariffs yesterday. Well, Pat, you got to understand something. That man knows what he's doing. You don't. You don't own billion-dollar companies, Pat. You are a millionaire, I'm sure. That's why you don't want them taxes. Tax the little people, but don't tax the big ones. Nah, tax across the fucking board, period. If you're going to tax, you tax all. If you're going to cut all. I understand that they build, listen, first and foremost, you can't go crazy on the people, on the billionaires and stuff like that. They build companies and they also employ a lot of people. But bro, those taxes don't hurt you as bad as you want everybody to think they do. That's pennies on the dollar to y'all, man. That's pennies on a dollar to y'all. When y'all got billions of the dollars coming in, it's just, I don't know. This ain't what the subject's about. It's just, it gets to me the way that they act and the way that they talk, and they try to say that they care about the little people. We all go through this struggle. No, you don't go through that. You are not us, bro. You don't live in the same neighborhoods we live in. You don't drive down the same city blocks we drive down.
They're appointed for life. It's created by Congress. And their decision was 3-0 that President Trump's tariffs were unconstitutional, a violation effectively of separation of powers. Beautifully written. I mean, I read it and I said, wow, there's good stuff in here. Now, in part, they say, underlying the issues in this case is the notion that, quote, the powers properly belonging to one of the departments, meaning Congress, ought not to be directly and completely administered by either of the departments. Federalist number 48. Wow. I love reading the Federalist Papers right here. I wish more people would, including judges. But there it is. And because of the Constitution's express allocation of the tariff power to Congress, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, we do not read to delegate an unbounded tariff authority to the president. We instead read that act, those provisions, to impose meaningful limits on any such authority it confers. Two are relevant here. Stay with me. This is fascinating. Stick with me. Section 1702's delegation of power to regulate importation, read in light of its legislative history and Congress's enactment of more narrow, non-emergency legislation, at the very least, does not authorize the president to impose unbounded tariffs. The worldwide and retaliatory tariffs lack any identifiable limits and thus fall outside the scope of the statute. Second, the law-limited authorities may be exercised only to deal with an unusual and extraordinary threat with respect to which a national emergency has been declared. Wow. Very fascinating. Persuasive to many of you? It's persuasive to a lot of conservatives and libertarians for some reason. I'll get to that in a minute. Plaintiffs are correct in the narrow sense that the imprecise term regulate importation under any construction that would comport with the separation of powers underpinnings of the non-delegation and major questions doctrine does not authorize anything as unbounded as the worldwide retaliatory tariffs. Separation of powers, delegation of authority, and so forth. The court said no. Can't do that sort of thing. In fact, the court also cited the Constitution. The bottom line is, they said, the Constitution assigns Congress the exclusive powers to, quote, lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, it's out of the Constitution, to regulate commerce with foreign nations. The question in the two cases before this court is whether the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, that Emergency Act, delegates these powers to the president in the form of authority to impose unlimited tariffs on goods from nearly every country. And they said, no, we don't read it that way. Therefore, the president loses, the petitioners win, and the tariffs are unconstitutional and out. Wow. Well, that statute we're talking about, or they are.
Okay, so I believe he said what I wanted to say already when I ran to the bathroom real quick. Did he not say already that it's not Congress that's bringing these suits, right? It's petitioners. So it's a law firm that's bringing these adjudications to the courts. They're I think I said that wrong. They're bringing these cases to the courts, and whatever district they can get it to be accepted by these appointed judges. I'm sure they have a list, but and there's been a couple here in Maryland as well. But let's go a little further with this.
And that the administration has used with respect to emergency powers, also passed by Congress in 1977, 50 U.S. Code Section 1701. Stick with me. You're going to know more than anybody else. Stay with me. Congress passed this. Any authority granted to the president by Section 1702 of this title may be exercised to deal with any unusual and extraordinary threat, which has its source in whole or substantial part outside the United States, trade, commerce, to the national security, foreign policy, or economy of the United States, and the president declares a national emergency with respect to such threat. That's what he's done. In some cases, it involves economic issues, fentanyl, immigration, and so forth. The president is using tariffs regarding policy across the board. B, the authorities granted to the president by Section 1702 of this title may only be exercised to deal with an unusual and extraordinary threat with respect to which a national emergency has been declared for purposes of this chapter. It's declared by the president. And may not be exercised for any other purpose. It goes on.
Now, I was saying something, right? I told y'all the worst thing they did was give him 4 years to consider becoming president again. Because that consideration, he treated, let me tell you something. President Trump treated that time. Let me break it down. When a man goes to prison, he finds himself. He finds a moment of clarity. All right? He finds a moment of clarity and he finds himself. What he does with that is clearly up to him. When you tried to take that man's life from him by putting him in prison first and then shooting him and everything else, right? You brought that man to a point of clarity. And he was already a business genius. Do you see how after he got shot, his demeanor changed? He got quiet. He was way more focused. But from the moment that they started bringing these cases against him and keeping him to one area like he was locked up and all that stuff, and you gave that man a considerable amount of time and nothing but resources. His friends are lawyers, and he's got people. Listen, you gave that man way too much time to sit down and think about what his next moves were going to be. And he didn't just think out his next move. He thought out his next 190 moves. So when you was getting ready to make your first move, when he walked into office, he was already at 80. When you was starting one. That's why he's sitting where he sits, and you are where you are. That's why he has helped you to make sure that in 2026 and 2028, it's still going to continue to be the conservatives to run the government, because you are not trusted with the government anymore.
Well, it seems to me that the president has the authority he's exercising. Maybe he's pushing the edge of the envelope. But so what? So in steps an appellate court almost immediately after it, and they issue an order that says the motions to consolidate are granted. That is, the request by the administration, all these petitioners consolidate their case. The appeals are consolidated such that only one set of briefs shall be filed. Number two, the request for an immediate administrative stay by the government, by the president, is granted to the extent that the judgments and the permanent injunctions entered by the Court of International Trade, that lower court, in these cases are temporarily stayed until further notice while this court considers the motions papers and so forth. So that's where we are as of today. You're saying, Mark, please get on to Joe Biden. We want to know more about Joe Biden and Jill. I'll leave that to somebody else. Now let's get down to brass tacks here, because this affects your lives. And I'm tired of media reports like this. I'm tired of analysts. I'm tired of all these people talking about things on a surface level. Let's get to the nub of this matter. What is this case about? At its core, it's about separation of powers. The judiciary, the Congress, the executive branch, that is the president. That is, which branch of government makes decisions about tariffs, or at least tariffs of the kind that President Trump has instituted? Who makes that decision? Even this trade court says, essentially, this is a separation of powers case. So we all acknowledge that. But there's a couple of very serious flaws here from the get-go. Have you caught them? Have you noticed something missing in this case? Congress is not one of the parties suing the executive branch. Did you notice that, Mr. Producer? These are private parties.
Okay, now I want you to understand something. Private parties, right? Private party being a simple fella.
More than a cabinet member, unless you're confirmed by Congress. Cabinet.
Let's go.
Yeah, Norm Eisen, listen, you were just in court this afternoon for a preliminary injunction hearing as you are representing plaintiffs that are suing to stop Elon Musk and Doge. Let our viewers know how it went in court today.
We think we have a power powerful case that Elon Musk is violating the United States Constitution. The Appointments Clause, which says nobody can act as a principal officer. You can't have a significant decision-making responsibility in the federal government more than a cabinet member unless you're confirmed by Congress. Cabinet members are confirmed by Congress. Well, Elon Musk holds press conferences in the Oval Office. He lectures the cabinet. He has the power of life and death over federal agencies. We had a long conversation today about how he said he was gonna kill USAID. He sent people in there to do it. He was personally involved. And then several days later, he said, we spent the weekend feeding USAID into the wood chipper. Could have gone to some great parties. Let me tell you, it was no party for the thousands of men and women of USAID who represent America's interests around the world.
Or George Soros and Norm Eisen, who received money from USAID. Let's not forget that, right? George Soros with the, what is it, you got the Open Border Foundation, I think it's like No Border or something like that. But George Soros, he has his foundation. Norm Eisen works directly for George Soros and Alex Soros. He reports directly to them. So this is a lawyer and a law firm trying to usurp the president of the United States by using these judges to push injunctions on him. So it's not even just the district judges that are doing this. It's a law firm, not even Congress. It is a law firm. It's this weasel right here, Norm Eisen. He has led the attack since President Trump has come into office. Norm Eisen needs to be back in front of Congress and brought up on charges. I guarantee you he has lied to Congress, allegedly, right? I don't want to be sued by this little peckerhead. But everything he's done has been against the presidency of the United States. At least if it's a Republican president, a Donald Trump, period. Barack Obama made it to where injunctions could be used, and he put judges in place strategically in case they lost power to where they could keep power by being able to stop them from taking their laws that they create away. So they use Norm Eisen and these district court judges to do that very thing, right? Here's Norm Eisen in Congress right here.
Is above the law. If Donald Trump, as the jury unanimously found of 12 of his peers, covered up 2016 conduct of a pattern that we saw again in 2020, we see him limbering up for.
I want you to remember one thing that Norm Eisen says.
And a king, George III, where one man was above the law. In his place, we put the Constitution and the founding American principle. No one is above the law.
Just remember that, Norm, when Congress calls you back into congressional hearings to answer. No one is above the law, including the Democrats and Democratic appointed judges that try to overthrow the presidency. guys. Thank you for watching. Please hit that subscribe button, like and share for more. And that's another wrap for We the People. I'll see you on the next go around, where we the people come for the truth. I'm out. I love y'all, man. Hey, thank you for stopping by. It's been great. We just got a couple seconds ticking down until the video ends, and I just wanted to tell you, man, that there is nothing more than I enjoyed in bringing you guys this information, and I really thank you for letting me do that from the bottom of my heart. You guys take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey, baby, I'm out.